Gentlemen, I think we'll go ahead and get started. We've got a couple of high school coaches that aren't here yet. One of them's not in school, so maybe he'll show up. Or maybe he won't. Certainly appreciate everybody coming back. We've got this week and two more. Just a reminder to the coaches, and I know Coach Snodgrass has probably talked to all of the high school coaches about getting some stats and stuff in. We're going to vote on the players and the coaches awards next Monday after the media will stay around and or not the media, it's just us. We're just the media. But anyway, again, thanks to Play Against Sports and Rawlings Easton for helping sponsor this, and the Pizzeria for helping kind of take care of the coaches' meals. Coach Rowe, anything new on Mr. Haynes?
Just I got a request last week. Nothing really had changed. We found in the hospital back at the ambassador for rehab. But she sent a request, and I shot that out on my string of text people to please text him. He can now do that. And he had not been able to do it. And I sent him a little wrap up Saturday night about the activities of the week and so forth. And within 3 minutes, I had a response back from him. So anybody, he would welcome him from anybody. And it may take a little while to get him back, depends on what he's getting, but it'd be good to do it. Otherwise, he said, I'm still improving, much better use of his hands. But it looks like it's working down his body. She did re-up the place where she's staying through May, because the other deal was setting back at least a month. And what they kind of thought he would be able to come back here. So I would invite anybody, he stays up to date with what's going on, guys. He's typical art. He knows what's happening, but don't be timid about sending him a text. He would love to hear it. And make sure you put where you're from, just so you can attach to school, but probably already knows all of that. But anyway, that's it. Thank you.
Well, we'll send him a copy of this from today. So anybody has any words for him, I'm sure he'll watch it. And to that end, we'll turn it over to Corey Riggs, and I'll say.
Thank you, Guy. Yeah, I get a text usually either right before or right after each Bears game over the last couple of weeks from Art. One of the kids have taught him how to use Siri, so he's using the text to talk. So a lot of times, if you hear from him, his was short, but he is a sponge, like Coach Rose said. He just wants to stay on top of what's going on with everybody and everything. So definitely hit him up, because he wants to be just as well informed as he was on the radio Monday through Friday on Sports Talk, and he's trying to do that. So we'll try and get him some information on the high school baseball. Start with the Glendale and Coach Julian and find out. They've got a game later today against Branson, right?
Yep, that's right. Russell knows much, but I think we were 2-0 last time I was here in late March, so what's happened between then and now? We're currently 17-2, 7-1 in the conference. Got some pretty quality wins over some good Class 6 opponents, some good wins over some conference opponents. Last week we lost to Camdenton Tuesday. Just kind of got controlled out of the gate on that one. We didn't really rise to the occasion once we got down. Kind of disappointing, but bounced back with a good win over Ozark Wednesday, and then Bolivar another conference game on Thursday. So like the way the kids responded after a tough loss. And like you said, we have Branson today, kind of a light week for us. Branson today, then nothing until Saturday. We're going to go to Columbia and play Staley and Park Hill. Got some soreness and probably a well-timed light week for us. Get some guys healthy and go a little rest underneath us. But some stats from our season, team and individual. We're hitting 327 as a team. And that does include 6 guys with 0 batting averages that have got 1 or 2 pinch hit bats here and there. But 327 as a team, you scored 147 runs, which is about 7.7 runs per game average. We've allowed 43, so we're pitching it pretty well and playing pretty solid defense. I think we have a 1.49 team ERA, 110 strikeouts. compared to 50 walks on the mound. So, hitting it pretty well, playing pretty well for the most part, stat-wise, and then pretty good group of kids. Kind of our mentality this year at the plate is kind of pass it to the next guy. And, we've got good hitters in front and behind most of our players. And so we've done a good job of trying to battle at bats and done a lot of damage with 2 outs throughout the season. So pretty proud of the way, they battled and kind of responded in quick innings. And then, when the other team scored, we did a pretty good job of answering that or coming up to 0 after we scored. Just real quick, if you want some stats, Brooks Kettering, kind of the leader of our team, he's hitting .455 with a .569 on base percentage. Got 22 RBIs in the leadoff spot, scored 25 runs. Alex Rankin's hitting .391 as a DH. Cam Stratton's hitting .449, playing a solid second base. It's a pretty good offensive year when your 6 or 7 hole is hitting .449 for you. But he does a great job. Good contact guy. He's got 1 home run, so a little bit of sneaky power in there as well. DJ Cofield's been hitting the 2 spot for us, moves the ball well. Brooks has, I think, 18 or 19 stolen bases, so he did a good job of, getting in counts and allowing him to steal the base and, either moves him in or has done a pretty good job of driving him in. Been pretty clutch for us all year, hitting .333. Mark Ross, 6 doubles, hitting .345. He's sitting behind Sebastian, who's hitting .327 and scored 21 runs, so doing a good job of protecting him and driving him in when he gets on base as well. Our top 3 arms, each have, Spencer Potabom has 32 innings logged. Drew Wedgeworth, who's going to get the start today, has 27 1/3, and Caleb Julian has 20 1/3 innings. Our team ERA 1.49. Spencer is right at 1.09. Caleb is 1.37, and Drew Wedgeworth is 0.768 in the ERA category. And all of them have pretty significant strikeout to walk ratios, with Wedgeworth with 22 strikeouts to 6, Caleb with 28 and 5, and Spencer with 29 and 12. So getting pretty good outings out of our top 3 arms, and we've got several guys, some non-conference Saturday games or some midweek games that we kind of use as bullpen games to get those other guys some time on the mound, and they've been pretty good in their own right. So I'd like to think we're pretty deep on the mound wise, and kind of having, I guess it's not really trouble, it's a good problem to have, but having some difficulties and some issues getting some guys probably the innings they deserve. But that's why we try to schedule a lot of games, and so far hopefully that'll be to our advantage.
I got some questions for you.
All right.
Do you try to schedule 36 games?
No, I started scheduling, and then I started looking, and I didn't have a lot of time off, and I was worried about some sore arms or some things like that, or not being deep enough position-wise. So I think we had 31, but I think we lost 5 or 6 because of rain. So.
Okay. And what about on the lower level? Do we try to do about the same amount? Sure.
Not 36. We scheduled more freshman games this year. It's a little bit deeper there. We've got a lot of guys, pretty much all those guys for us to try to schedule more freshman games than we have. I think we added 5 freshman games as opposed to what we've had in the last couple of years. And then same with the JV. I knew our program-wide we're pretty deep, so I knew our JV would be pretty solid and have some juniors, mostly sophomores on there, but kind of the same thing. We got the Kickapoo Festival, which is this weekend, so we'll get 4 games out of that, as opposed to, I think they just had a regular doubleheader schedule Saturday in the past, and then added a double JV game.
To me, that requires more coaches to cover all that stuff.
Yeah, we got Turner Jackson, who is volunteering for us a little bit, and he's helping Jeff at the freshman level. So that kind of helps out. And then me and Dan and Tyler kind of piggybacking everything.
What's the makeup of your team? I know you mentioned those Kettering senior, I know that. What's the makeup of your team?
So we got 6 seniors: Kettering, Cofield, Carter Lewis. who all start. And then we got a sophomore catcher, a few juniors mixed in there, Sebastian and sophomore. So, kind of a good mix of sophomore, junior, senior. As far as we're not really too, heavy or lower body.
Tell everybody the district rank. Well, I know you're one of the seeds or anything, but how's it?
So it's going to be probably, I would say, we played Branson today, which is a big one district-wise. They're pretty good. They're capable of beating anybody. But we lost to Camden. It's kind of a big blow. I think I'm still going to try to argue that we play a tougher schedule. That head-to-head factors in a lot, but I think we'll be between us, Camden, Willard are probably the top three. Then we got Marshfield, Branson, West Plains, and Parkview. So pretty solid district, I think, in my opinion. Even Parkview's got a quarterback kid, and another little lefty kid that's kept them in some games and things like that. So it'll be a tough 3 games, I think, no matter what your seed is.
This guy on the Branson.
Yeah, except Branson. I think we see the 12th. But that may be, I'm not sure on that.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Coach. Speaking of the Willard Tigers, that is who Ozark has coming up next. Coach, give us the Ozark Tiger report.
Well, like that, we played Glendale last week. I'm telling you, that was one of the best teams we've seen all year. And I feel like we play a very competitive schedule. But just going into all that, I feel like, I think every coach here would agree. High school baseball in Southwest Missouri right now is excellent. It doesn't matter. Last year, it seems like everywhere you go, they've got a guy here. And so it's a lot of fun. We are 11-8 right now, 11-8, 2-1 in conference. We've started a few other conference games with cancellations. So we got to make up. So this week it kind of looks like we got Willard tomorrow. Obviously, that's a big game. It's a big week for us in the Central Illinois Conference for sure. So Willard tomorrow. We make up a game with Republic on Wednesday. It's currently a 4-3 ball game in the top of the fourth. With 1 out, and they got runners on first and second. So I think that's about sit there and try to figure out how to come back and win that one for the last 4 weeks. We'll see. And then on Thursday, we go to Webb City. He's playing very well. They got a good group. So, we just finished last Saturday 11 games in 10-day stretch, which was, some parts of it were kind of brutal, but, it's like you were saying about that is it gives a lot of guys opportunities. Last Saturday we had a JV pitcher step up and do a 1-hit shutout, and, normally wouldn't get the pitch in that game. We were at Warrensburg, but took advantage of an opportunity, not put his name on, on the map for us now. So did a great job. Next week we go into, it just keeps going. I can't remember, we got that far ahead. We'll play next week, but really we're just trying to stay healthy. It's been like I said, it's been a grind. I love the way our guys are playing. We got 9 seniors on this team. We start 7 of them. We have a sophomore in right field. That's Hudson Roberts, and then we have a junior plays third base, Gage Pay, and then those other seniors. I think talk about makeup. I think if there was one thing we need to do better as a team, it would be producing offensively has probably been our biggest downfall. We pitched it well. We played good defense, which was kind of something I expected. But recovering when you're seeing good arm after good arm after good arm, those guys just having to bounce back that quickly, it's almost like, sometimes maybe they need a little bit of a break, just kind of refocus. But, the grind of the game hopefully sets them up, because we do have a little bit of break at the end. Hopefully that kind of sets them up to, get their mind right and kind of hit the district and try to get hot like everybody else. So, great group, enjoying it. Just kind of trying to figure out how to finish strong. So,
Have some questions?
yes, sir.
I've been out of the loop of high school baseball, and today is the first day I've met you. So, can you give us a little background on?
Graduated from Ozark in 2002, and then went down to Texas, and play, and then a couple high school jobs in Texas. 2011 was my first one, then 2012 was another one, and I was in college baseball at Christian University as a pitching coach there until 2019. Came back up here, spent the COVID years in Spokane, and Coach Essex retired, got hired in Ozark. Guess that was in 2021. So this is my third year. So yeah, new back to the area, but from here originally. So,
In your district situation.
So, finishing again, our district opponent right there, Nick's beat us earlier, so I think that kind of puts them on top. We do have a win over Kickapoo. So still got quite a few of them to figure out. We got Joplin coming up, and we have to make that one up hopefully here, and that won't be till May, probably the second week of May. So, Nick's, Republic, Ozark, Kickapoo, Joplin, Carthage, Neosho, and Central. So right now, I'd probably, unless something changes, Nick's is probably on top at this point. So
Where will it be played?
it's at Republic. Yeah, we have our seed meeting this the 12th, May 12th, and that's that next week. Rock and roll. All right, appreciate it.
Lots to smile about in Logan Rogersville. Got a place with still has new turf smell and has like an 8-game win streak going
I
on.
think I told you last time we had practice, we finally got to practice, so that's all right. Yeah, first, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it. Although I think the last time I was here talking, we got out and just got smoked by Nixon the next night. So thanks for doing that a day before we play Catholic tomorrow. But no, we haven't lost since then. So we're 15-2. We're 4-0 in our conference. So right now we've outscored our opponents. I think it's 54-2 in our conference. So those are traditionally pretty good teams. A lot of them are down this year. But obviously getting wins is the most important part. So we're sitting pretty good when it comes to our district and our conference. But tomorrow night's a big time showdown. Springfield Catholic at their place. So I'd like to think that the Missouri State commits are going to out tomorrow night. So hopefully that's the way it goes. But we've obviously played pretty well. Our big three kids, the ones I talked about last time, have had a great year. Just kind of going through. We average 10 runs a game and give up 2, so we're winning a lot of games doing it that way. But I think we're probably most proud of our pitching staff. We got the big three kids that pitch, obviously, but we've thrown, I think it's 10 kids, and we have a 1.79 ERA as a staff, so we've got others. Those kids have been doing a really good job. I guess I need to give my pitching coach a raise because we have 152 strikeouts and 30 walks. So we're going to win most of the time. We're pretty good defensively, too, so to stand up there and try to out-hit us with those kids is usually pretty tough, and that's kind of where our record was, although I think Nick's is still hitting and still running bases on us, right? That was not a good night for us, but Brody McNeil has been our top guy so far. He's 5-0. He's got a 1.65 ERA. He's pitched in 6 games, and so he's been very, very good. Curry's been kind of our closer, come in reliever, and I don't know how people feel about having to see both those 2 kids warming up in the same game. In a high school game. So I'm not going to lie to you, that's pretty nice as a coach to go, yeah, hey, why don't you go warm up too? So we've been able to do that with those 2. Ross, that Nixon night has a little impingement in his back, so we've kind of been really being careful with him. He pitched once last week, through 3 innings, felt okay. But still working him down for another week or 2, try to keep him healthy for districts. I think there's someone that said that's probably the most important thing for us, is making sure we got those 3 guys ready to go, because I don't know too many people can match us on a night-to-night basis with those 3 going. But hitting-wise, we've been pretty potent, same 3, plus a couple other kids. I think Curry's hitting over 500 with 3 home runs now. Ross has really come on as a hitter this year. He's hit about 425. And then Brody, I think, is somewhere right around that same deal. But we've had another senior who was an all-state catcher last year. He's got 25 RBIs, and he set out 2 games. So he's got 25 RBIs in 13 games. So we don't mind seeing him hit. I think he hits in the 6 hole, so yeah, that's not a bad guy to have in our 6 hole there, Jim. So, but yeah, I mean, and we've got a junior that's really came along. He's got 10 bombs between varsity and JV this year, so he's one of those kids that came in as our JV DH, and he has now just proceeded to go right into the 4 hole and be our varsity DH. So that's been a nice surprise. He's a big, strong kid. And man, just a kid that I know Coach Barron and Jackson Rousey, he's seeing that kid wears out the indoor over Marucci. So to see him have some success with that, it's been really, really nice. We may have a scoreboard on Wednesday night when we play there, so that's the new update on the field. Maybe that's still maybe, that's 50-50. But it's not lightninged out like it has been in the past, so that's good. It's simply power. But no, the field's been great. It's been great to be able to get our kids out there and finally get to feel normal, which we didn't feel last time I think I was here. So that's been great. So But again, appreciate you guys for having me and look forward to hearing these guys talk.
I got some questions.
All right, Mike, all right.
Have you thought about the color of the light bulbs in that new scoreboard?
As long as they light up, I think we're okay, because the old one did not real well. I think we used to take hits and errors and put those in the run section. So right now, any light that lights up, I think we'll be good to go.
It's an important decision, color of the light bulbs.
Power right now, we good. We did have a flagpole put up today, but we don't have a flag, so there's that. But, you know, that's the way you go.
Now, conference, there's like small school, big school.
Well, really, we got the Big 8 East and the Big 8 West. And so the West, you're pretty much Monette, west of there, so you've got your Senecas, your Lamars. We're the Big 8 East, so it's us, Catholic, Hollister, Marshfield, Reed Spring, I'm forgetting one, I can't remember, Aurora. So that side, yeah, we've got the Big 8 East on our side, so.
And Catholic is in your district.
Catholic is, they didn't do us any favors there. I don't think Courtney or I are real happy about that, but it seems like it's kind of destiny anyway, so we'll go round one tomorrow night, hopefully there's a round two later on.
And where is that district?
District's gonna be at our place. So that's their big countdown to T-minus whatever to make sure that they're done with restrooms and power and all that stuff to get it done by the district. So I'm kind of happy about that. It's pushing them to get done with it. So, thanks, guys.
See your game being moved tomorrow night to your field?
If it rains, I don't mind. I think we're 9-1 at home. So yeah, come on, rain.
I think all of a sudden I've figured out something I can do with MediaCom toward the end of the districts. Because if it's a Rogersville Catholic final at Rogersville, I think that might be worthy of TV. So we'll try and work on that. Before we get to the colleges that are in the room, Coach Snodgrass has got a update on the Valors. Coach Henry couldn't be with us tonight.
He said he will be here next week. They played Graceland over the weekend and split. So they're 23-23 overall, 8-20 in what remains the GLBC, right?
They're in the heart of America.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I knew that. Heart of America. You're GLBC. But they're getting out of the heart.
Yeah, going to the KCAC next.
Yeah. He said they host Baker next weekend for their final conference series. And so we'll get to hear kind of, I know that they had to get the conference to make the postseason tournament. So I don't even know if they have a shot at it, but maybe if they sweep Baker, they might have a shot at it. So that's where Evangel is.
Thank you, sir. Coach Merriman, EBC, what is new in your world?
Yeah. Thank you guys for having us. We are currently 32-19 teams remaining. Our last series, kind of crazy to think, already about over. This past weekend, we played Ecclesia, which is out of Springdale, Arkansas. We swept 4 games there. But kind of a program barometer for us in year 2 was we played them 8 times last year, 2 4-game series, and we were 1-7 against them last year, and now we're 4-0. So I think we're heading in the right direction. That game was played at the historic Joe Becker Stadium in Joplin. Coach Nasby and Drew had a home series, and we were scheduled to have a home series, but we just decided to go over there, hour for us, hour for them coming up, no hotels, and played those games. But we're playing pretty well. We go this week for our last series to Hot Springs, Arkansas, to play champion, and really need those games to go well. Number 9 in the country in the polls, and a strong showing there will kind of solidify us to, if we happen to stub our toe in regionals, we may have a decent chance at an at-large berth to the NCCA World Series. So need that series to go well. Pitching the ball extremely well, getting timely hitting. I mentioned last week that our top offensive player has been with us for now 5 weeks, and he will not be back the rest of the year. But some guys are stepping up and getting some big hits. We just lack a little bit of thump in the middle of the order that he provided. But all in all, I'm pretty happy with the guys, pretty happy with the turnaround. I think we're trending in the right direction.
And so you will be in your same thing as College of the Ozarks, right?
Yes, sir.
And so both of them, you're trying to, will you be in the same regional?
We are. hosted there at College of the Ozarks. Same regional. We are currently at 9. They're currently at 10.
And they get in no matter what because they host, don't they?
They do. Yeah, they do it at the, and then the winner of that regional tournament, the NCCA World Series, which is held now at the Royals Youth Academy in Kansas City, and the tournament's the middle of May. But you win the regional, you go. There are also 4 at-large possibilities to get in there, which again we're currently positioned pretty well for that, but we don't want to take anything for granted. We need to go win 4 games in Hot Springs and then win our regional tournament to make sure.
How many regionals are there?
There are 5 regional tournaments. Yeah, 5 regional tournament winners get in. The host gets in for a 10-team World Series.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Coach Nasby and Drury coming off a 4-game series with Quincy, inching up on that 30-win plateau now at 27-19.
We play 5 games this week at Central Missouri, which is always a big matchup for us. We played at home earlier in the season. They took pretty good care of us. We hadn't beat UCM since 2017, actually. And they're historically one of the best teams in Division II, but we went up there and we played really well. And we ended up beating UCM at their place, 11-5. Look back through their list, they have only lost, I think it was 6 games in the last 8 years. And 2 of those were in the College World Series. So was really proud of the effort. We had, all the losses they ever take are almost always on the road and almost by 1 or 2. And they're really tough to beat. And so our guys were pretty fired up and faced really good arms and took advantage of some mistakes and walks that they had and scored 1 or 2 for most of the game and came away with a great bus ride home. We then had Lewis. Lewis is a pretty solid team in the league with some good pitching. Game 1, they didn't pitch it very well, and we took some advantage of that. We ended up run-rolling them in game 1. Cody Ball pitched really well, went complete game. He's got, I think, 4 complete games on the year now. And so that was a fun start. That gives us 7 wins in a row. And if you've been here week by week, we've either won 7 in a row and then lost a couple in a row. So we were hoping we could take 7 to 8. That didn't happen the next day. We faced Carrabba, who's the best pitcher in the league. Numbers wise, we match up Jack Jones with him, who's our best arm, and probably the 2 guys who are for the year. When 8 guys show up in the stands, I think they probably came over from Missouri State to watch this guy. And the guns were still up in the 6th inning. He's pretty special. He was 94 late in the game with an 83 mile an hour slider. We did have a 2-0 lead on him. Struck out 13 outs consecutively via strikeout. Now we got some walks and hit by pitches, and we have double mixed in there, scored some runs. But we did not do much against them. They chipped away for a couple runs, and so we blew a 2-0 lead in the 5th, 6th, and 7th, and lost that one 3-2. And had the timer on second to finish the game. And then had a quick turnaround, so frustrating loss, and blew that one. We get a 2-0 lead again in the next game. And Mason Meeks, who threw in relief against UCM, we threw some of our best guys at UCM to make sure we could win that one. So Meeks gave us 2 relief outings on his bullpen day on Wednesday, came back and gave us a really strong performance with 2 outs and a man on second and third, dropped a fly ball and kind of no man's land, playing deep on a windy day. And they scored 2, and we ended up losing that game 4-2. So 2 tough beats. We only had 5 hits on the day, and so guys down about themselves. And so we continued that slide on Sunday. We played 9. I stuck around for about 4.5 of those innings. I disagreed with the umpire, and so then I hung out in my car for a few innings. But it was a tight game. Lewis is probably the team right now if we match up, but we got to play game 1, so we got to figure out how we beat that guy here in a couple weeks. Midweek this week for us, but we have Quincy up at Quincy this week, who's been as high as number 5 in the country. They will host a regional. They're really good. They have 4 guys in the 90s. Their closer's left-handed. I just watched video before I came over here. He was 94, 97 last weekend. They had an Illinois State guy, Chase Gockel, who didn't throw many strikes there, and he's not throwing strikes at Quincy either. So it's good because we can't kid anyway, so we'll just take and see if we can get on, see if they'll give us some freebies. So, we're pretty contagious, and that means we either run roll someone or we lose some close ones. So we need to do a better job of making sure we get over those negative contagious at-bats and figure out a way to string some things together against some good pitching, because that's all we'll see from here on out with Quincy and then postseason. So unfortunately, we have a bye after Quincy, so we'll have to sit at home and see what everyone else does to see how it shakes out. And then our conference tournament's up in Marion, Illinois at Mountain Dew Stadium, which was renamed recently. So that's in a couple weeks.
I got a couple questions.
Yeah.
Jack Jones, I saw him pitch last year.
Yeah.
You said one of the best arms or the best arm he had.
Yeah.
Has he come out of nowhere for this?
He's really progressed. He came to us from Bishop Kelly down in Tulsa, and pre-med student. He was 81, 83 when he got to us, and he turned relief a little bit because he's got a good breaking ball. And this summer he played for the Hoots, and he's a tireless worker. He's been up to 92, 93. He's more 87, probably 89 with high spin rate. Good breaking ball, good slider, good change. He's all 5'7". Great kid. But yeah, he is, this year he is, let's see, he's 6-2 with a 2.6 ERA and a 1.2 whip, 52 innings, 39 hits, 46 strikeouts, and 25 walks. Batting average against is 205.
I know his third grade teacher.
Oh, yeah. Jack Jones teacher?
Yes,
Okay.
Jack Jones, third grade teacher. Anyway, your best offensive producer, who was that?
Brooks Sonny's been our best player. So he transferred from UFIS. He's a grad transfer playing short. He's hitting 359. He's got 15 doubles and 9 bombs. We only have him for 1 year. He's got 42 walks, 15 hit by pitches, and 32 strikeouts. So we're trying to find the pieces to have a few guys behind him to drive him in when he gets on base, because a lot of teams are just saying, go ahead, we'll just walk you or hit you and not waste any pitches on you. And he's getting stranded out there a little bit. So he's not a base stealer, so he gets stuck out there a little bit. But yeah, 42 walks in 43 games that he's played. He was
Three hole, or where you got him?
Moving to 2 this week. We had him at the leadoff spot, but then we weren't getting on him in a 9 spot, so we moved a different guy to the 9 hole to see if he could get on base, and moved him up. So we can't have him too low, because if we got zeros behind him, then the same thing happens. He gets stuck out there. So trying to make sure it maximizes at bats in at least the 1, 2, or 3 hole.
And as you had gone and had a discussion yesterday, a committee was being formed in the press conference to help out this work.
I mean, the ball that got thrown out, it hit the ground on strike 3.
Exactly.
And the umpire we had, his hearing aids were not turned up properly. So when he kept turning away from me, I had to keep chasing him around the park. So maybe he shouldn't have been thrown out, because when he turned his back, he couldn't hear me anymore. So I had to keep getting in front of him. He didn't like that, and I didn't like anything else about that game. So, but I didn't like arguing with the umpire as loud as I did. Both my kids were there, and Cole was rattled. My son was up on course. He's always there. He's in tears as I came up there. Felt bad about that.
My daughters are used to that now.
Yeah, I think my daughter would have came on the field and fought the umpire with me, but Cole was a more emotional kid. But Caroline would have had my back. She'd have been on the field with me. So,
The Blues played the Panthers next Friday.
I won't be there. Well, I could be. I don't have to be at Quincy. I got to sit out. So I guess I could stick around and watch the Northside Blues play the Mini Panthers on Friday night. So yeah, I got to
Well, the Missouri State Bears have been on a roll in Missouri Valley Conference play. They've swept their last 3 opponents, including busy week for Coach Hutton and the Bears, with Arkansas, Central Arkansas, and Valparaiso.
Thanks, Corey. I'll start off by saying I don't have anything against people with hearing aids or that are 5'7". I don't have the hearing aids yet, but I'm not going to have them soon. Our week started off at Missouri, and the result was the same. We got beat 7-6, but the performance was about 100 times better from the poor performance that we had here to how we play there. You don't get any satisfaction out hitting them, but we did 12-8. We were pretty much in control of the game. Hit a bunch of balls hard, pitched pretty effectively. They've got a good lineup, and we just couldn't get the last 3 outs, more or less. Scared Ferguson. Been really, really good for us, freshman, and he wasn't good that night. Walked a guy, hit a guy, and ended up getting a couple We played the morning series over at Hammond's Field, breakfast at Hammond's, 10 a.m. Thursday. We moved it up an hour so the rain wouldn't impact our game. The game ended with a grand slam walk-off run rule. It started raining about 7 minutes later. We wouldn't have been able to finish. I had a really good seat, so the rain would not have impacted me. About the fifth inning, about your time, Scott. So if you haven't been to Hammond's Field and sat in the suite, watch the game, I recommend it. I was by myself, and you know the rule says you in Division I baseball, maybe D2 as well, you have to be out of sight and out of sound, otherwise you get in trouble. So I was up there, I know I was out of sound, and I kept getting behind the beams every time I thought I see an umpire glance up. Because I've served that 3-game suspension before, it's not any fun. So we were fortunate in game one, in that they had a really good left-handed pitcher going who was injured in the fourth for him, maybe top of four.
Yeah.
We had a couple of runs. Yeah. Andy Beans, his name, he was OVC pitcher of the year a year ago before they moved into Missouri Valley. And he was good. So he was out, which I don't know how much it really impacted the rest of the weekend because they didn't really throw their guys after him. The first guy, yes, was still close, but game got out of hand. We were fortunate to win that. Came back Friday, got the first complete game of the season anywhere in the world, I think, by the way. Hayden Mint threw really well, went the distance. Hopefully he'll be fine this week. He'll have an extra day of reps because our series is this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then Jake Eddington gave us a good start on Saturday. So we had 3 good starts. Can't remember really the last time we had 3 effective quality starts. So that was certainly a good sign. Offensively, we call them bear wins, and they were blowing out on Thursday. So we hit 6 home runs. So that was a good day. We swung just enough on the last 2. I think offensively we're in a pretty good place. Our pitching's in a pretty good place. Reed Metz has begun to throw in games. He threw 1 at Columbia. He threw 1 this weekend. It's a guy we think could really help us down the stretch. Trey Ziegenbein, who still has a severe shoulder injury and is pitching with it after an injection and some rehab, has been effective. So things are kind of lining up in our bullpen. Defensively, we've had some hiccups. We need to improve. We need to clean it up. Lost our third baseman 2 weeks ago to a broken finger, and he may be playing with that broken finger tomorrow if I have anything to do with it. Because we've had some struggles on the infield, but hopefully we'll get Dylan Robertson back soon. Get ready to go.
It's not on his throwing hand.
That's correct. Yeah. So as far as the league is concerned, it's 12:39 on Monday, and we're in second place. At the end of today, Indiana State and Southern are playing at 1 o'clock today. Normally, you can't play on Monday in the Valley. They got special permission to do so. If State wins, we will still be in second place by ourselves. And if Southern wins, we'll be tied with Southern. So we have Valparaiso this weekend, then we go to Murray State. And the last 2 weekends, we go to Southern, and we have Indiana State at home. League tournaments at Indiana State, so hopefully we can continue what we're doing and be in a position to play for a championship late in the season. Questions, Mike?
Yeah. Your freshman, Garrett, first.
Summit Christian High School.
Yeah, he just pitched 1 inning, but I noticed.
You're talking about yesterday?
Yesterday, yeah. I noticed the curveball was.
Haven't seen much of that.
Okay.
Norway.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like a curveball.
The curveball is to surprise them.
Surprised us.
He throws about 90% fastballs, throws 88 to 91. He's got a high spin rate, can really pitch up in the zone. His fastball at 88, 91 is probably harder to hit than any other fastball we have on the team. So he's been really effective, but he does not throw much else. That's why he's kind of a 1-2 inning guy.
Yeah. Well, that curveball struck out 2 people.
Yeah. The guy had to wait a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you say, Mark? Who would they play?
I think they'll bullpen it like we will. We'll throw 6 or 7 guys an inning or two. They're coming off, they got swept in Georgia. And I saw their head coach was ejected as well, so, it should be interesting.
It always is when the Arkansas Razorbacks come to town.
Okay, what place am I taking right now?
Nothing good.
What do you think about Garrett Ferguson?
Is that Coach Gunn?
Hey, this coach.
Coach Nasby?
Hey, Jeff.
I'm sorry you're gonna make games this year. Alright, I'm supposed to say good luck to you guys. I didn't know you guys were on a meeting, I'm sorry.
We're good.
Thanks, Jeff. Jeff,
Super fan.
Jeff will take some foul balls though. Like, he'll get the fouls, you will not get them back. He'll be the fastest guy in the stands. But he'll adamantly deny he's got no baseball. Since he's got them all in. He's got 15 in his pants. Yeah.
Any other questions?
He tells them back.
All right, that's good.